From the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased. Joining me from Australia, Eoghan O'Donnell. Owen, the way I love to do it is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their background, what they are up to currently, and then we can kick the conversation directly after that. So the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Mehmet, and thanks for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here. Look a little bit about myself. I started off in the software industry, 25 odd years ago. I'm originally from Ireland. I joined Symantec, worked for them for many years, originally localization in Dublin, Ireland. Then I moved over to California where I worked in the shared technologies group. If you're not familiar with Symantec, we were the makers of the Norton antivirus suite of products and consumer, where I spent most of my time working some enterprise software too. Primarily did program management there and rose up through the management levels there. And then I moved on to McAfee, who were ultimately acquired by Intel, and that was still in California. And then I moved to Amazon, where I worked in the HR fintech technology group, and spent a few years at Amazon. And then I had an opportunity with my family to move back to Europe from the west coast of the US. And we lived in Ukraine for a little over a year. And while I was there, I joined Innovex. So that's how I've ended up at Innovex. And now I live in Australia. So I've come down here for family reasons, and I continue to work for Innovex. I've had a couple of roles at Innovex. I originally joined as head of delivery, head of engineering, right, to bring them into the engineering world. And now, as you know, I run innovation.
Great. And again, thank you very much, Owen, for being on the show with me today. And what, a very rich and fantastic experience that you have. So I want to start from the innovation. And, recently we start to see more and more like these titles, Chief Innovation Officer. Now, just like past week, at the time of the airing, this episode will be like around 1 month or so. So in Dubai, like the government, they have appointed chief AI officers everywhere. So from your experience, why these roles are becoming like more crucial in today's business landscape, Owen?
Yeah, look, great question. You're right. My title is Chief Innovation Officer. But of course, that does bleed into the AI world. And we start with sort of the innovation world. But what is innovation, right? So, innovation for me is like cultivating innovative capabilities, like within the organization that we're in, sort of, and promoting those. For Innovex, we're in a wide range of industries, right? Health tech, clean tech, gaming industry, collaboration, supply chain, right? And, people often ask me, what is it? What do I do? Right. And, we, having experience working in all these industries, we come across a lot of technology, and often you can find yourself getting compartmentalized inside a particular vertical like supply chain. And what I look at is looking at, expertise we have and seeing, can that be utilized in other industries? Innovation is not necessarily about, needing to do something new, right? Nor is it about needing to do something cutting edge, but quite often it's simply taking something that someone has done before elsewhere and using it for your own purposes, right? So, a lot of what I do is that, if we're obviously in the engineering business, we do a lot of work for clients, and those clients have different needs. And sometimes we have a need that's actually a niche area. And I look at that niche area and I sort of decide, oh, can that be used in the context of a different industry, right? So that's sort of the innovation side of it for me. We do a lot of internal work to try and foster innovation. And that's where this could bleed into the AI world. My I guess, first exposure to the AI world was sort of working internally to figure out, what sort of controls we might need to put in place, what sort of education we might need to put in place for people to understand what is AI and the boundaries of AI and what you should be doing and what you should not be doing before we even get into the side of actually developing things in it, right? And there's a lot of aspects of AI that I think people need to be familiar with, right? What are you using AI for? Are you using it to create things, right? And I think, are you using it to create images? Are you using it to create opinions? So we a lot of my initial, as I said, exposure to that was sort of work and put together frameworks for AI. Now that that's in place, we're looking at technologies and the use of those technologies within the AI space. For example, everybody's talking about Gen AI, chatbots, whatnot, right? Image recognition and things like that. So, we look at those technologies and try and self-develop and go, hey, do we understand them? So when the clients come to us, can we actually speak about them? We don't, I think a lot of, we are a development company and we do a lot of things for clients, but I would say on the AI front, a lot of AI development in the past has sort of been taken on by the clients themselves. Now we are seeing sort of a shift where we do see clients now starting to dabble, using resources like ours, right? And that's where, the research we've been doing is now going to lend itself to help those clients accelerate, right, their adoption of AI technology.
Mm-hmm. So to that last point you mentioned, Owen, and another guest the other day told me the same thing, and even on our daily conversations. So there's this feel that companies have kind of this fear of missing out the AI moment now, because you have your experience also in the from the consumer industry perspective for all these years. Now, when we talk about B2B, and what like software houses they are doing, whether it's like in the core software development industry, or for example cybersecurity, or for example cloud and so on. So more or less, we started to see this and the application. So when it comes to the consumer industries, are you seeing anything which is like different? Are you seeing something which it's getting you excited on the way they are actually implementing the AI within their businesses?
Yeah, good question. I would say, look, I think a lot of what we do today is sort of focused on the, medium-sized business, enterprise-sized clients. But I think on the consumer side, I think what really attracts my attention more than anything is, when you go online and you're shopping, right? And suddenly, I'm finding more and more that the offerings are tailored to me and my pattern of purchasing, right? I've even seen it, where, you can now look at an image, right, of a shirt or something, and you can say, I want to buy that shirt. And there are sites out there now that actually you can tell them what the shirt looks like, right? Or you can show them a picture, and they will actually locate that product in their inventory and offer that to you. So, the adoption of AI, some companies I think are further along than others. But what I see right now is even, simple things like, the reading of images and using that to help me make my purchases. Like it's groundbreaking, right? Certainly is groundbreaking. I think, product design and innovation, generative AI has been used there, right? Personalized customer experiences, as I talked about, that's very prevalent. I think in the supply chain optimization too for consumer goods, companies now are finding that AI is helping them, keep the shelves stocked, right, with relevant material. I was talking to someone the other day where we were talking about, on the shelf, based on the purchasing patterns and combining that with the location of the foot traffic in the store. If you're buying your pasta off the shelf, they might put another product that's completely indifferent to pasta on the shelf next to you based on having analyzed the data, right, from the foot traffic or the purchasing, because they know that you're likely going to buy that product, right? It's quite incredible, right?
It is. And I was, lucky enough to speak actually to one of the startup founders who are doing this currently. And it's fascinating because the way they presented, it's a win-win for both parties. I mean, it's a win-win, of course, for the business, but it's also a win for the consumer. So they get like better deals, they get better pricing. They always feel like as if there is always of course, it's a virtual assistant that is helping them choose, or like guide them. So it's really fascinating. Now, I ask this question all the time, and, we covered a lot from the B2B perspective. I mean, in other industries, it's not easy, Owen, and I think you would agree with me. It's not easy to actually implement, an AI strategy if we have some obstacles or challenges. What I'm interested to know from you, what are usually these challenges you see companies face when they try to start to implement AI into their consumer-focused products or services?
Yeah, look, I think there's a few things at play there, right? One is, do you have the data? Do you understand your data? And because data, powers it, whether it's machine learning that you're going to use, or down to the generative AI where you're trying to integrate chatbots, having access to large language models and then refining that so you can actually, get specialized content out through your chatbots. The data is one side, the technology is the other. A lot of companies may not have access to the resources, right, that are necessary to bring those technologies to market. That's obviously where Innovex steps in, where we extend a lot of companies' abilities by providing that expertise and the access to those technologies. There is also, there's a cost to it, right? And I think a lot of companies, need to plan ahead and decide, what value are they bringing and how do they stay ahead of the competition? If your competitors are moving forward with giving personalized shopping experiences, well, you likely need to do the same. So you need to invest in that. So the data is key, the technology is key, and the expertise is key.
Yeah. Now, this is where actually innovation intersects with business a lot. And I think, it's about like how we can implement it to the best outcome. Now, business owners or decision makers within the business, if they are like kind of a bigger enterprise, if they want to quantify like this, return on investment, let's call it, of implementing these AI strategies, do you think revenue is the only metrics here, or like there are some other metrics they need also to keep eye on so they understand, okay, this investment that we're gonna do, it will not only, for example, generate extra revenue for us, but it's gonna do A, B, C, D. So from your experience, especially in the consumer industries domain, what like other than revenue, what like other metrics you advise clients to look at when they implement these innovations, and talking here about AI, of course?
Look, it comes down to value that you're offering, right? And customer satisfaction, right? If the customer finds no value from what they're getting, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on that, it's going to be a waste, right? So I think a lot of it starts with understanding the customer, right? And if you understand the problem that the customer has, then you set yourself forth on a good path to actually be able to define some of the requirements around that. And based on that, then you can decide, how much of a strategic investment that actually you want to make. If, back to the personalized shopping experiences, if that's what customers want, then, that's where your investment needs to be. There's so many options out there for customers today that you don't have a lot of opportunity when a customer comes to your website, for example, or comes into your store, right, to keep them engaged, right? So you want to make sure that the value is very clear. So for me, customer satisfaction and value are for me clear metrics, right, that need to be defined by a business, right, in order to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm not jumping, from something very far from the AI, but I think, I thought like I can relate it in the next thing that I want to discuss with you, which is Internet of Things, or IoT, because, you were mentioning that, especially in the retail space, maybe this is more makes sense because they have the ability for putting some cameras, some I don't know, some movement sensors and so on. So how are you seeing, this expansion of the IoT space also in consumer industries, and maybe also in other industries where, it's bringing some innovation? Like, what are, like, I would say, the key opportunities you're seeing in that area?
Yeah, look, I think IoT probably excites me more than a lot of other things in the AI world, because, I think a few years ago, my smart meter came in, and now, the electricity company looks at those things and decides, if you have solar, how much solar they're going to buy back and all that sort of thing. I think, look, the benefits of IoT, for me, there's probably 3 or 4 really clear benefits, right? Deriving data-driven insights, right, to help, better manage your business, of course. Increasing productivity and efficiency, right? That's really key. Obviously, it's helping create new business models and revenue streams. And then I would say the fourth would be, seamlessly connecting your physical business world to the digital world. And if you look at the different, the aspects of IoT that are out there, I think they said that there's going to be sort of 40 billion connected devices, right, by 2033, if I recall correctly. That's an incredible amount. And industrial IoT is probably leading that, right? Smart manufacturing, connected assets, smart power grids, as I said, even smart cities, right? Connected logistics. It's quite remarkable where all these things are coming in. I think a lot of today, there's a huge progression of adoption by SaaS applications, right? Of IoT. And they, what they do is, right, they analyze, right? They capture all your IoT sensor data, right? And what's really cool is they're bringing that information to businesses so they can actually make better informed decisions. Where is it deployed? Certainly manufacturing, right? Machine monitoring, product quality monitoring, tracking the physical assets, right? Where things are moving around. I'm having a piano delivered today, and I could tell exactly where it is. You wouldn't have been able to do that. It would not only tell you where it is, it's going to tell you how long it's going to take to get to you, because it's using data from different sources. In the industry, one of the industries we're in, the health tech area, wearable devices for monitoring health. The amount of information they're collecting, sending back to your doctors, and they're able to make informed decisions. So there's so much, and obviously a lot of business process changes are coming out of this as well. So look, I think if I look at across the industries, manufacturing, automotive, there's so many examples right now where IoT is transforming those industries. And I think, and the great thing is those transformations are coming to us, right, as consumers. And I think for back to the industrial side of things, it really is, pushing efficiencies. If you look at the automotive side, equipment failure, whether it's a manufacturing, automotive, anywhere, there's a lot of information now where even AI within AI IoT, it's helping companies predict what problems are going to arise. And we didn't talk about it earlier, but if I look at like the whole concept of digital twins, right, is taking all that sensor data that they've collected, and now they're digitizing something. It could be an oil derrick in the middle of the North Sea, and they'll go and replicate that as a digital twin, and they're using all the sensor data, and they can predict where problems may happen in the future. It's quite, again, it's transformational what's happening.
Yeah, it's a lot of innovation is happening in that domain, which is, for me, I've been always fascinated, by anything which it's autonomous, it can work by itself, and now adding, the Internet of Things, so you can track, you can collect the data, then you have the AI, machine learning. So coupled with all this gives, something really magical, I would say, and across all the industries, to your point. So, like, continuing maybe from the manufacturing logistics perspective, and I know, like, this is also from innovation perspective, we've been seeing, a lot of advancement in that space from robotics and autonomous vehicles, let's say. Is there anything like is exciting you? Because, we talk about predictive maintenance, we talked about IoT, so now we can even have robots to do things powered by AI. What's your point of view on that sector of technology?
Yeah, look, you only have to look at the latest model cars coming out, right? And I call it the integrated dashboard, right? You got sensor information from outside, sensor information from inside the car. It's all coming together, and that, from an AI perspective, is tying into the robotics side, right? What we know is like the autopilot one now. And if you look at, it was interesting to me. I was looking back at the progression of autonomous vehicles. The first autonomous concept, right, vehicle came out in the 16th century from Leonardo da Vinci, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a few years ago they replicated it, and it proved its worth, right? Now, we've got autonomous cars, and I think all the progression in the with the technology and the reward from the investments over the year, where now they've married the robotic side of the car with the AI side. It's quite remarkable. If you're driving down the street now and it's winter and there's ice on the road ahead, guess what the car is going to do? The car is going to slow down and try and avoid that black ice patch, right? This is what the power of AI is helping us do. So yeah, huge movement.
Right. Like, it's kind of, I always do this joke. If I am mentioning what we are seeing today to my friends, I'm sitting with them like 20 years ago and I'm telling them this, they will probably laugh at me, because, majority of the things we are seeing today, thankfully, I believe the cloud played a major role in this, having this distributed way of getting the compute to anywhere in the world. I think AI is adding a lot of things also to that mix. And of course, like, IoT, as we spoke about. Now, I know, like,
Right.
yeah.
Maybe I'll just add something, right, to this, right? I think, we talk about robotics, we talk about AI and the whole autonomous car side of things. If you go back to, what are we looking for when we bring these cars to market? It's not necessarily to, eliminate the human completely, but where we do try to eliminate the human, there are situations where we haven't mastered it. The goal, I think one of the goals of AI, certainly in the automotive world, is to figure out, how to get the AI to learn social interaction, right? We're not there yet, right? And I think human driver intuition, right, is absolutely a unique problem for AI. I was just in Manila, right, at a conference, and one of the first things I noticed was the policeman in the middle of the street, right, waving his hands. The cars are not at that degree of intelligence yet, but the great thing is that is where AI and machine learning and identifying patterns, and then moving that forward into sort of Gen AI scenario, we can actually develop ways to actually interpret those things. So there's still a lot of problems to be solved, right? Certainly in the AI field for autonomous cars and the use of robotics within those cars.
Yeah, like one thing also people who I will not say they are skeptical about AI, but they say like AI is too much logical. It doesn't have, for example, gut feeling. So everything is data driven and doesn't have emotions. So this is why of course, like as humans, we will be taking sometimes irrational decisions because based on gut feeling or something like this. But what, anything else that requires logic and requires to have proper fast response, AI is indeed and definitely the way to go there. Now I know, like also, like part of the things from you help customers in is in the gaming arena as well. So gaming industry is another topic by itself, I know this. But when it comes to innovation, especially with AI, like any current trends, anything that applications you're seeing in the gaming specifically that are promising, or something that might get mainstream in the future?
Yeah. Look, I think in the gaming world, there's some massive innovation happening, and on a path to major innovation, right? If I look at AI in gaming, automated game testing, personalized gaming experience, the same sort of experiences you have when you're in online doing your shopping, right? Content generation. A lot of companies, including companies like ourselves, who are, we've got a game studio, we do a lot of art, we do a lot of animation. There are a lot of tools out there now in the art world, right? We'll start with that, right? Who are able to generate, artwork, right? There's different companies out there. Some of them, they'll generate art based on prompt, but in your text, you'll get the image that you expect to get. There's a company out there who's doing the same, but they're actually, you can choose the style of the artist, right? It could be Dali, right? And it'll generate the images and use the style of Salvador Dali, right? Or whatever artist that you want. Really cool stuff. Obviously, there's the photorealistic images is another area that's quite popular. But yeah, AI generated game assets, definitely, companies want to bring their games to faster to market. So if you can produce those assets quicker, right? Some assets you want to have consistent looks, some assets you want to have particular styles. There's plenty of technology out there that's doing that for the artwork. Now, I think a couple of other areas that's really intriguing for me. A lot of games you have what are called NPCs, or non-player characters, and those characters, what's happening in the world of those is that they are now learning from the behavior, right, of the player, you being the player, right? And there's different levels of learning, right? So you might have, in terms of technologies, we might be using things like decision trees, and you can determine the status of a character, right, depending on whether they're carrying a weapon or not. Right? How cool is that? And then that what we call the non-player character, right, can decide whether they're a foe or not, and they can take up a defensive status, right, simply by what weapon that you have. Another area is genetic algorithms, right? And That might be where that character wants to find the fastest way to navigate through an environment, right? While taking all the different dangers in the game into account, right? Because it's in a dynamic environment, and that those characters might be shadowing you. So as you make decisions where you're going and you're running into different characters, they're learning from that all the way along. A couple of other areas which are in sort of in the deep learning aspect of things, neural networks and reinforcement learning. But neural networks, the characters themselves, again, these NPCs, they can change behavior in response to the human user's decisions and actions, right? So that makes, then the game can become more challenging on purpose, right? And give you a more realistic experience, right? For you being the gamer. And then I'd say the reinforcement learning, where that character, the NPC, can make a decision within a game, and maybe they die, right, in the current session that you're in, but the next time around they know that happened, and they're going to make a different choice, so they don't die. So they'll remember the consequence and they'll take a different approach. So there's some really cool stuff that's happening, and so companies are beginning to take advantage of the deep learning, using those neural networks and to sort of simulate, right, complex decision making, which I think is really neat. On the extension of the artwork piece, the other piece, developing game landscapes. So while at the same time the characters can make decisions for themselves, game landscapes can be created, so they can reshape the terrain, right, in response to, say, the human player's decisions and actions. So there's lots of opportunity within the gaming world for AI.
Yeah, and I think this, again, back to what you mentioned about the experience and the consumer experience. I think, I just can relate now. I didn't play games since a long time, but anyway, like when I used to play something and when I repeat, and then after a while it becomes boring. So because you're passing through the same levels and you know exactly where the characters are. Like, of course, like we used to be happy, hey, I know where that character is. But I mean, if they do it like in this kind of way, it would be like fun. And I'm sure like, the players would want to play more, which is, again, this is the value which is bringing in engaging experience. Yeah.
And that's it exactly, right? We've all played the arcade games, right? And you progress through the levels, and I got to level 3 the last time. Now, what did I do there? Okay, yeah, I need to do this now to get past, because I didn't make it past that level. The things haven't changed, right? It's still the same scenery, still the same characters. So how cool is it now if you got to level 3 and it's going to be a different character, different, weapons, different whatever, right? And you're like, oh, okay. But the objective may still be the same. You still got to get over the hill and to the other side, right? So it's marrying that, retaining the complexity of, say, that level or that environment, but giving you different challenges, right, to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like very quickly, also like out of fun, my daughter saw me like playing, the Pac-Man. It was like available on the Google at some time. Like you can just scroll it on the browser. And she was telling me like, how do you know like this is? I said, yeah, because when I was a child, I knew exactly where these guys are coming from, and I know exactly the moves, sequence I need to do. But she said, yeah, it's not fun. And I think the new generation, they want this like kind of new experience, to your point, Owen. So 100% on that. Now,
I would just add, my son, I think he plays a couple of these games, and they're playing them so frequently. Like, as a gaming company, do you want to invest, a lot of money into humans, right, to create things that could autonomously be created? Why would you, right? Why wouldn't you adopt AI and do those things? And you keep the appeal, for these kids. Obviously, it's a whole different conversation. How much screen time people should have, right? But when that kid wants to go back and play with their mates, I think they do want to have a different experience.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, just as we're coming to a close, there's one more topic I want to cover with you, Owen, and because you help other companies, right? So you basically help them uh, getting these technologies built and deployed. And there is this famous debate about, is outsourcing, outstaffing, especially if we are into kind of a regulated space. Let's talk about, for example, finance. That's like they have the PCI, right? So regulations. So when it comes to this space, what are the best approaches there? Like what do you see, out of your experience, the best way to do it for outsourcing and outstaffing to keep innovation to the maximum, but at the same time to make sure that we are compliant, we are like doing the things in the right way that there should be done.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of it goes back to, businesses evaluating, right, whether they require specialized skills, right, for certain things. You mentioned PCI, which is a, specialized area of financial sort of products or products that use or touch on financial things. For those of you not familiar with that, like one of those areas would be, taking credit cards and the rules that, companies that take credit card payments online follow, right? Where companies like ourselves, I think really bring value to the market. We have the opportunity to work with many clients in many industries. And when we work on the same areas, if it's PCI, it's incumbent on us, right, to actually stay ahead, right, of those I would say compliance rules, right? And the client who's coming to us and looking for outsourcing, they can only benefit from that knowledge because we have the knowledge, we have the relevant knowledge, and we have the current knowledge. So why would you as a business want to go and invest in hiring people that have that specific need if you don't necessarily need it in longevity, and you can actually focus on your core business needs, and companies like ourselves can focus on those niche areas and bring that value to you as a company. So I think, evaluating, whether you require that specialized skills is important. But look, I think, when it comes to outsourcing versus outstaffing, outstaffing, you need to decide whether you want to manage remote employees. That's what it really comes down to, right? And are you ready to prioritize integration into your organizational culture? Outsourcing, you hand it off, right? You say, look, this is the problem I need solved. Can you solve it? In what time frame can you solve it? And we obviously offer that expertise, and we offer it at the highest degree of quality. Because we are working within an industry and across multiple industries, so we're able to stay ahead of it.
Yeah, makes sense. Make absolutely sense. Owen, we covered a lot today, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. This is a question I ask at the end to all my guests. Like, is there any kind of advice, like anything that maybe I missed to ask you, you want to share with us at the end of this episode, and where people can get in touch and connected with you?
Yeah, I guess, look, on the advice, I think it's important for everybody to continue to learn, right? We've talked a lot about AI, and AI is a it's a new field. It's a new field for a lot of people. And, there's plenty of, I would say, certifications out there. There's plenty of material that you can read about, and you can determine whether that's appropriate for your business or not. We obviously, at Innovex, have knowledge in this space, as we do knowledge across different industries and the different technologies and skill sets that we're able to bring to market. And I think that's one of the things that we try to do within our company is upskill, continuously try to upskill. And even in areas where we may not necessarily have clients today, we do look at, solutions that we've developed in the past for clients, and we look to see, can we augment those with new technology, and new areas like AI. So I would say that, learn, embrace it, and come and talk to us if you're looking to invest in that area. And whether you're experienced in it or you don't have experience, we're happy to guide you through that process.
Cool. Where to go to get in touch?
Yeah. www.innovex.com, INNOVECS. And you'll find me up there too. You can shoot me a message. I'm also obviously on LinkedIn and a few other spots, but yeah.
Great. I will make sure all the links are in the show notes so people can find them easily. Again, Owen, thank you very much for your time today on the show. I really appreciate, all the information and insights you gave us and what's happening across different industries. And usually this is how I end my episodes. This is for the audience. If you just discovered this podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. If you like it, please subscribe and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the loyal followers who keep coming, sending me their suggestions, messages, please keep doing so. I read all of them and I take that into consideration. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and we will be again in a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.